Hello, virtuous leaders, scholars, and virtue change agents. My name is Dr. Lisa Marie Portugal, and I am the Leadership Architect. And today I have a talk prepared for you based off of one of my books called A Culture of Excellence, Virtuous Leadership Principles for Organizational Success, a Management System. And this particular talk is called Having a Learning Approach. And on this slide, I would like to introduce you to living virtuously and invite you to living virtuously. As you can see there, that is my personal and professional logo, my leadership brand. And I'd also like to have you think about what is your leadership brand and your leadership style, and perhaps you may make a logo for yourself as well that defines who you are to others. We cannot achieve greatness or magnanimity unless and until we master the virtues within ourselves. Reaching greatness or magnanimity is about virtue building within ourselves, our families, communities, and others. We cannot achieve magnanimity until fortitude, self-control, counsel, justice, prudence, understanding, respect for others, temperance, humility, charity, piety, and courage are present first within us. We cannot give to others what we do not possess ourselves. So understanding how to master ourselves and build virtue is the first, ongoing, and last step required for magnanimity. And mastering the virtues is a lifelong and ongoing process throughout our entire lives. When we fall, pick yourself up and start the practice of virtue building again, and do this throughout your entire life. Magnanimity is an ongoing process and a focus we should have throughout our lives. It is also a focus we should have for working with, mentoring, and coaching others to greatness. We can build virtue within ourselves and help others in our sphere of influence to achieve greatness in their own lives by teaching the virtues and living the virtues in everything we do. Live virtuously. Okay, the table of contents about Dr. Lisa Marie Portugal, having a learning approach, a learning organization philosophy, Havard's virtuous leadership pyramid, leadership competencies, character, and commitment, the 10 leadership virtues, good and bad outcomes of presence or absence of virtues, cultivating a learning leadership brand, and in conclusion, a systems thinking approach. And there is my about Dr. Lisa Marie Portugal. I'm not going to read through all of this. I read through all of it on the first talk, but if you're interested, you can stop the recording and read through that. There is my picture. That was me on a trail ride in my padded gear on the Bradshaw Mountains trails. So if you're familiar with Arizona, Bradshaw Mountains are just north of Phoenix. Okay, so having a learning approach. Having a learning approach to one's own learning style, as well as having the ability to foster learning in others, is the mark of a strong leader. And that's what you're doing today, right? In addition, it is important to strengthen one's personal and professional leadership brand by reading industry publications, books, ebooks, peer-reviewed studies, online library resources, and other internet sources. Leaders can strengthen skills by attending seminars, webinars, workshops, listening to podcasts, and audiobooks. Furthermore, leaders can network with individuals outside and inside the organization, brainstorm individually or with groups, and pursue formal education such as degrees or individual classes. Finally, leaders can find a mentor for their own self-improvement or share their knowledge and expertise by mentoring others. Developing an energetic and capable professional reputation is crucial to establishing credibility as a leader. Individuals desire to follow knowledgeable and authentic professionals in their field. The more a leader knows about his or her field, as well as the trends shaping it, the more others will respect and trust a leader's opinion. Moreover, leaders should be knowledgeable about relevant technology and competitors in one's industry. In addition to these factors, leaders should stress a learning approach in their leadership brand with the intention of helping others to understand how perennial learning can benefit their own growth. Okay, so a learning organization philosophy. What is that and what does it look like? A learning organization philosophy can be established to support a major transformational shift from any organizational change agenda or initiative. In a learning organization, there is a recognition that organizations need to evolve in order to respond to internal and external pressures. Leaders within a learning organization understand that learning is the process by which staffers can collectively and individually remain competitive, productive, innovative, and dynamic. I love all those words, don't you? I want to be competitive, productive, innovative, and of course, dynamic. And, we are lucky that we are in a learning organization here as well, with a learning organization philosophy. Leaders who support a learning organization philosophy can foster a learning economy and a learning society strategic mindset in followers. I like those two concepts that I coined, a learning economy and a learning society, right? Okay, so let's take a look at the next slide. I have a couple of interesting graphics for you on the next several slides. So this particular one is about the 4 elements of organizational learning. Let's go through it. On the left, supportive leaders, right? You want to be a supportive leader. Leaders are committed to organizational learning. They have clear vision and goals for organizational learning, and they champion other role models. On the right, a culture of continuous improvements. Culture values organizational learning. We align beliefs and values, we reinforce incentives, and we have a commitment to the measurement of results. On the bottom right, defining learning structure, or having a defined learning structure. Organizational structure is aligned to support organizational learning. And as I go through this, keep in mind, apply some of these themes to your own leadership brand, okay? Think of yourself as that organizational structure. How are you going to model these ideas and concepts? So an organizational structure is aligned to support organizational learning with defined roles and responsibilities for capturing, distilling, applying, and sharing knowledge. So in your leadership brand and style, how might you do these things? Networks and coordination. And then on the left, bottom left, we have intuitive knowledge processes. Organizational learning processes are embedded into daily workflows. Defined processes to set learning agenda and capture, distill, apply, and share knowledge. So how are you going to do that with your dynamic creativity? And then, of course, technology platforms. Leaders should have competencies in managing, influencing, guiding, and understanding transformative learning opportunities for followers. Learning systems and processes can be designed through curriculum modules, workshops, peer supports, mentoring activities, shadowing opportunities, online coursework, and external training. Finally, leaders should model the way. I love that, don't you? Model the way by engaging in learning activities for personal and professional growth so that followers can observe virtues such as perseverance, diligence, fortitude, self-control, prudence, temperance, understanding, wisdom, courage, and magnanimity. And of course, you are going to model those virtues, and you are also involved in learning yourself by listening to these audios. Okay, Havard's Virtuous Leadership Pyramid. I love this. And if you're interested in looking into virtuous leadership, Mr. Havard has several books out that I take from some of his content. Of course, cite it as we always do. But this is a fantastic pyramid that he created. At the top, we have fraternal humility, magnanimity, prudence, self-control, courage, and justice. On the bottom, ontological, psychological, spiritual, and metaphysical, which involves basic humility. On the left, as we see, let's start on the bottom, the foundations, self-knowledge and heart. As we travel up, goodness, intellect, and will. And then at the top, leadership, greatness and service and heart as well. So where do you find yourself on that pyramid? Where do you want to be as a leader and as someone who promotes growth in others and learning in others? Okay, the next slide is titled Leadership Competencies, Character, and Commitment. And this, of course, you can see is adapted from Developing Leadership Character. It is a book. You might want to pick that up from Rutledge, Crossan, hopefully I said that right, Seitz and Gans, 2015. Okay, so we see here competencies in the center box. Intellect. We've got people competencies, organizational competencies, strategic competencies, and business competencies. So all of these themes and ideas and words, we want to strengthen ourselves in these areas. On the left, we see character, traits, virtues, and values. On the far right, we see commitment, aspiration, I love that word, engagement, and sacrifice. And then on the bottom, we have competencies, knowledge, meaning facts, figures, concepts, and so on, right? So we need to have knowledge in whatever our chosen field or profession is. We need to have understanding, meaning relationships, context, significance, materially, and so on. And then we need to have skills, analyzing, decision-making, communicating, getting things done, teaming with others, and so on. And then finally, on the far right box, we have judgment, using intuition, timing, methods to use. What are those methods, right? What are your innovative and dynamic methods that are creative to you? Who to involve and how to do it next. All right, so let's move on to our next slide. The 10 leadership virtues. As you can see, character is in the center. And let's start at the top right with integrity, and we'll move all the way around from the right. Integrity, meaning honesty, authenticity, I love that word too, transparency, principled, walking the talk. Don't we want to see all of that in managers and leaders who manage and lead us? I do. And I want to emulate that, those virtues as well. Courage. We need to have bravery, confidence, perseverance, and tenacity. Accountability, ownership, stewardship, responsibility, and dependability. We want to be dependable, and we want others to think of us in a dependable way, knowing that they can count on us, right? Collaboration, consultation, cooperation, agreeableness. Humility, this is one of my favorites. And as I mentioned in one of my other talks, is that I did learn through the Christian virtues that no other virtue can be obtained in the self or others that we are coaching until and unless humility is present first. Open-mindedness, modesty, receptivity to others' ideas and views. How do we perceive others, and how can we help them grow in their ideas and views? Justice, meaning fairness, objectivity, and impartiality. Temperance, meaning prudence, self-control, restraint, and forgiveness. Those are all very important things. And, without self-control, we cannot grow ourselves, can we? And teaching self-control to others will help them reach their greatness, their magnanimity. Transcendence, I love that. Optimism, farsightedness, the big picture thinking, and forgiveness. Judgment, meaning balance, perspective, situational awareness. That's important. Who's in front of us? What are their learning? What is their learning style? What is their ability level? Do they need something in a softer way, a faster way, a slower way? Who is in front of us, and how can we help them understand better according to their learning style and their ability level? Pragmatism, managing ambiguity and paradoxes. Humanity, meaning consideration, empathy, caring, compassion, and gratitude. I'm glad that I ended with gratitude there, but I think that should be first, throughout, and ending. That gratitude is so important. I know that when I started having more gratitude for the things in my life, the gifts that have been given to me, and the skills that I have been able to grow over my life, having gratitude for that, gratitude for others in my life, gratitude for meeting new people and finding what their skills and abilities are. Having that gratitude is what helps us change and grow, and I think it is one of the top virtues that we should foster within ourselves and teach to others as well. Okay, the next slide is about good and bad outcomes of presence or absence of virtues. This is quite detailed, but I really do want to go through it. It's very important. And as I said, it's a graphic that I have in my book. And it is cited from Crossan and the other authors here from Developing Leadership Character. So at the top, we've got virtue, meaning judgment, humanity, justice, courage, collaboration, accountability, humility, integrity, temperance, and transcendence. Then we have good organizational outcomes where virtue is present. And then we have bad organizational outcomes where virtue is absent. So let's take a look at the top. With judgment, quality decisions, calculated risk-taking, commitment, support, and trust. Don't we all want to be in an organization or a setting where these skills and these virtues are present and manifest in ourselves, in others, in the organization? What does that look like when it's bad? There's a lack of lacks a balanced assessment of the issues, leading to misinformed decisions, confusion, and resistance to change. Humanity. What does it look like when it's good? It looks like social responsibility, good employee relations, understanding, and support. When it's bad, it misses critical social implications of decisions and actions, alienation of followers, a lack of respect for the leader. Justice, when it's good, use diversity, good employee relations, fairness, organizational citizenship behaviors. When it's bad, or when virtue is absent, there are inequities not identified and managed, thereby eroding trust. There's favoritism and nepotism. Courage, I love that one too. That's one of my favorite words and virtues. When it is present, decisions made under conditions of uncertainty, confidence to act, opposition to potentially bad decisions, and innovation can grow. I love being innovative, as we are doing today here, and sharing my innovations with you, and I love to support innovation in others. When the virtue is absent, going along with poor decisions. We don't like that, do we? Sacrificing rather than maximizing. That's very important to think about, right? Moral muteness. We don't want moral muteness. We want to reinforce morality everywhere we are and in our own leadership style and brand. Collaboration. When it is present, there's teamwork. There's a use of diversity. There's cross-enterprise value added, innovation, learning, affiliation, and confidence. When this virtue is not present, individualism alienates potential allies. poor understanding of decisions, friction, and conflict. When the virtue of accountability is present, we see ownership and commitment to decisions and their execution. When it is absent, we see failure to deliver results and typically creates excuses for why not. Shrinking of responsibility. When humility is present, we see continuous learning, quality decisions, respect, and trust for others. When it is absent, we see ego-driven behavior, selective listening. I don't like that. Do you? I've been around people or situations where it's selective listening and they can't hear what you're trying to convey. Difficulty admitting error or failure. That's important. I know whenever I have erred or failed, I want to be able to admit that to others. I want to be able to pick myself up and go forward with correcting those errors, admitting my failures and correcting those failures. Arrogance. No one likes arrogance, right? Overconfidence, complacency, and hubris. Integrity. When integrity is present, it builds trust, reduces uncertainty, develops partnerships and alliances, promotes collaboration and cooperation. When integrity is lacking, it creates mistrust, requires firm guarantees, slows down action, undermines partnerships and alliances, reduces cooperation and collaboration. So if followers do not see integrity in us, they're not going to want to follow us, right? They're not going to want to help us. You're not going to create buy-in. So integrity is important. Temperance. When that is present, we see quality decisions and reduced risk. When it is absent, we see short-termism, inability to see the possible constraints, instant gratification. And finally, transcendence. When it is present, we see focus on superordinate goals, big picture thinking. I am a big picture visionary thinker, and a striving for excellence. Don't we want to see and be striving for excellence? I know I want that for myself. And when transcendence is absent, we see narrow aims, little inspiration, and tunnel vision. Okay, so that's a great slide. You may want to go slow with that and think about each one of those good and bad outcomes and how we might change and manifest the good within us, and how can we model that for others. And like I always say, your innovation and creativity is going to be very different from mine. You have your own skills, abilities, and traits and talents. How are you going to teach and manifest those virtues to others? Okay, the next slide is called Cultivating a Learning Leadership Brand. Having a learning approach with specific and strategic identified strategies can be part of a leadership brand, your leadership brand. A learning leadership brand can cultivate the following themes: continuous awareness of and interaction with the workplace or school environment, or your church environment, or your neighborhood environment, whatever environment you're in where you're leading and managing and working with others. Embracing creative tension as a source of renewal and energy. I love that line, right? What is your creative tension? Fostering dialogue and inquiry. Providing safety for followers to take risks and share openly. That last statement is very important. If you can manifest these virtues in your own leadership brand and style, the people that you're working with will feel safe to share with you, safe to take risks, safe to innovate and create themselves. Linking organizational performance with individual performance. How are you going to measure and metric individual and organizational performance? Those are two different things, right? Using learning to reach goals, which is what we're doing here today. Providing continuous learning opportunities for everyone. As I am modeling for you, how will you, in your creative style and brand, model continuous learning for those that you're managing and leading? Okay, finally, the last slide is titled System Thinking Approaches. Producing these types of effects can be supported by personal proficiency, shared vision, reasoning models, team training, and a systems thinking approach or approaches. Now, that sentence has a lot of information and concepts there. I welcome you to research all of those. How are you going to raise your personal proficiency? How are you going to share a vision with others? What does reasoning models look like? I'm showing you and providing you a reasoning model here today. What is your reasoning model going to look like? Or in plural, right? And team training. How are you going to train others? Each one of these areas is going to involve your own creativity, your own innovation. A systems thinking perspective is concerned with long-term objectives, while short-term wins could be strategized as well to promote continuous motivation in followers. How are you going to continue the motivation in your followers? Through the virtues that you're going to manifest in yourself and model for others. Finally, leaders talented in strategic thinking have the ability to discover alternative pathways to proceed. I love that last part there. What are your alternative pathways to proceed? When working with others and confronted by any given situation, leaders with this skill have the ability to promptly identify relevant patterns and issues. And just as a side note, one of the marks of a high IQ is pattern recognition. So how are you going to identify relevant patterns and issues to help yourself grow and to help others around you grow as well, and to develop their magnanimity, their greatness? Okay, so the last slide are the references. As you can see here, I've got them listed, some of the books that I cite from for my own book, and then of course I have my own book there in alphabetical order. I want to thank you so much for listening to this talk that I prepared for you. I hope you enjoyed it. There will be many more, and it was my honor and pleasure to serve you today. Thank you so much. Goodbye.